So a while ago I made a video about a free text-to-speech tool that at the time was the best free and open source 11 Labs alternative for those of you who want to clone voices or make AI voiceovers. Well, guess what? Today I want to show you an even better text-to-speech AI model that can clone voices and even allows you to have full emotion control in the tone of the voice, and the best part is that this tool is also completely free and open source, so you can use it as much as you want. The tool I'm talking about today is called Zonos. So this is their official website, and if we scroll down a bit we can see that Zonos is a direct competitor to one of the biggest titles in the AI text-to-speech game. So over here we can see titles such as 11 Labs, Cartesia and Fish Speech. And let's take a look at some of these voice samples. So let's start with Zonos.
I don't really care what you call me. I've been a silent spectator watching species evolve, empires rise and fall. But always remember I am mighty and enduring. Respect me and I'll nurture you. Ignore me and you shall face the consequences.
Okay, so that sounded pretty good. Let's see how 11 Labs does.
I don't really care what you call me. I've been a silent spectator watching species evolve, empires rise and fall. But always remember, I am mighty and enduring. Respect me and I'll nurture you. Ignore me and you shall face the consequences.
Okay, so in my opinion, 11 Labs' voice sounded a bit more cold, a bit more neutral, I guess. And let's see how this other AI text-to-speech does, Cartesia.
I don't really care what you call me. I've been a silent spectator watching species evolve, empires rise and fall. But always remember, I am mighty and enduring. Respect me and I'll nurture you. Ignore me.
Okay, so this sounds pretty good. It sounds like a pretty warm tone. Let's see how this Fish Speech does.
I don't really care what you call me. I've been a silent spectator watching species evolve, empires rise and fall. But always remember.
Okay, so this one sounds a bit more robotic, at least in my opinion. And let's take a look again at Zonos.
I don't really care what you call me. I've been a silent spectator watching species evolve, empires rise.
Yeah, it sounds pretty natural. So over here we can see a second prompt, so let's just take a quick look.
The Emperor's complexion did not change, remaining as still as a sculpture, and a touch of touching warmth flashed in his eyes. He deeply glanced at the loyal minister and finally spoke.
Okay, and let's check out 11 Labs.
The Emperor's complexion did not change, remaining as still as a sculpture, and a touch of touching warmth flashed in his eyes. He deeply glanced at the loyal minister and finally spoke.
Okay, so both of these voices sound pretty natural. Let me know which one you prefer. I think that Zonos, at least in my opinion, sounds a bit better than 11 Labs, but that's just my opinion. Go ahead and type in the comments which voice do you prefer. So now let's take a look at their GitHub page. Okay, so this is their GitHub page. Over here you can see all the necessary info. If we take a look at this picture, it explains how this works. Now I can't really say that I understand what's happening here, but if you're interested you can go ahead and take a look at it. So over here we can see that it supports multiple languages such as English, Japanese, Chinese, French and German, and it only needs about 10 to 30 seconds of a speaker sample in order to generate a good voice clone. And if we scroll down a bit, over here we can see the installation process. Don't worry, I will show you how to download and install this on your machine later on in the video, but note that you need at least 6 GB of VRAM in order to run this. And don't worry, if you don't have the GPU necessary to run this, you can also try their online demo. So this is their online demo. Let's see how it works. And this is a demo voice, so let's take a listen.
Hello and welcome to Zonos. Try out one of our default voices or test a random voice. For best results with voice cloning, upload 10 to 60 seconds of high quality audio.
Okay, so let's go ahead and upload a voice sample. This is a short sample of a YouTube video that I've downloaded, and let's see how it's able to copy the voice. And this is the result.
Hello and welcome to Zonos. Try out one of our default voices or test a random voice. For best results with voice cloning, upload 10 to 60 seconds of high quality audio. You can
Okay, so that sounds pretty good. So as you can see, this is their demo website. It doesn't have a lot of features, definitely not as many features as the offline application, but if you don't have the GPU to run it offline, then you can go ahead and just try this out. So now let's talk about how to actually install Zonos on your PC. So over here you can see that we are on their GitHub page. I'll have this linked in the description. And if we scroll down over here, you can see that you need at least 6 gigabytes of VRAM in order to run this using your GPU. And it also needs to be an NVIDIA GPU that is at least a 3000 series, so at least an RTX 3050 or something newer. I'm not sure, but it might also work on older GPUs, although I cannot confirm that. And don't worry, even though it says over here that you need Linux or Mac OS to run this, it can also run on Windows, no problem. So in order to install this, first thing you need to do is go ahead and create a new folder for it. Open this folder, over here type cmd, and this has opened a command prompt. So go back to their GitHub page, and over here on the code button, go ahead and copy this link over here. And also, I forgot to mention, make sure that you have Git installed, so go over to this page. I'll also have it linked in the description, and click over here on downloads and download the Git version that you need. So after you copied this code over here, go back into the command prompt and type git clone, and then go ahead and paste the link and hit enter. Now this has downloaded a couple of files you can see over here, and now the next thing you need to do is go ahead and run PowerShell and make sure to run it as administrator. And now that we have this window open, you can go ahead and copy this command over here, paste it into PowerShell, and now type capital A and hit enter. After that, you can go ahead and close this window. Now if we go back into this folder, now you can see this file right over here. Go ahead and run it using PowerShell. Type A, and now this is installing the files that we need. Now this installation might take a while because, as you can see, it's downloading quite a couple of large files, but don't worry, just be patient and keep waiting. And as you can see, the install has finished, so we can go ahead and close this window. And lastly, we can go ahead into the Zonos folder that we have created and go ahead and run this run Gradio file using PowerShell. And as you can see, this has automatically opened the Gradio interface in the browser. And if we take a look over here, you can see that it's also downloading a model. This is the text-to-speech model, so go ahead and wait for it to finish. And after that, it's gonna download another model. And that's it. Now we can go ahead and use this program. So this is the app. Over here we can select the hybrid model because it's faster than the transformer model, and right now it's loading. And also I asked ChatGPT to write me a scary sentence, so let's go ahead and copy this. Let's paste it over here, and if you click over here you can upload your voice sample. Now for educational purposes, to show you how this works, I downloaded a couple of video sections from some YouTubers. Over here we have a creepypasta YouTuber. Let's take a listen to his voice.
I've lived in Elliot's Hollow my whole life.
Okay, so if you click over here, you can use the denoise option. So if your audio sample has noise in the background or music, then this would be useful. And over here we have a couple of settings. I would suggest leaving these the same. Aside from this speech STD, you can play with this one to see which value gives you best results, but ideally you should leave this low. And over here we have the speaking rate. So if you increase this number, then your reader will speak at a faster rate. I will leave it on something like 16. And over here we have a couple of other settings. I would recommend leaving these by default because playing with them will probably give you worse results. Over here we have the CFG scale. Again, leave this by default and leave randomized seed. And over here we have the interesting part, which is the emotional sliders. So if you untick this box over here, then you will have access to these sliders. Now this is going to be a bit of a sad, or not necessarily sad, more like a fearful narration. So I'm gonna turn the happiness slider a bit down. Let's increase the sadness and disgust a little bit, and let's make sure that we have the fear all the way up. Let's say 0.90, the surprise to something like 0.13, and for the others I'm just gonna give them a bit of a random value. So let's click on generate. As you can see, it's generating really fast, mostly because it's a short sentence.
The shadow in the corner wasn't mine, and it just moved closer.
So as you can see, this sounds really good. It's really similar to the actual narrator's voice.
It's not a town people move to, or move away from.
Okay, so let's see if we can get this to sound even better.
The shadow in the corner wasn't mine, and it just moved closer. The shadow in the corner.
So as you can see, it sounds great. Now let's go ahead and try maybe a different sentence. Okay, let's copy this. And let's click on generate. So as you can see, because it's a longer sentence, it's taking a bit longer to generate. Now keep in mind that I have a GPU with 16 gigabytes of VRAM. If you have a lower amount of VRAM,
As I lay in bed,
process will take longer, but if you have more, then it's gonna be even quicker. So let's just restart this and take a listen.
As I lay in bed half asleep, I felt a gentle breath against my ear, followed by a whisper in a voice that wasn't mine. You left the closet door open again.
So you can really notice the emotion in his tone of voice, especially here in the end. So let's go ahead and try a longer narration. So let's go ahead and copy this whole text because I want to show you something. And let's paste it over here. So as you can see, it cuts off over here because the token window for this AI is a bit small. So you can't generate a very long text right off the bat. So I suggest doing these in parts. Let's go ahead and play with these sliders a bit more and click on generate. And as you can see, because the text is longer, it does take more seconds to generate. And here's the result. Let's listen.
The room was silent except for the slow rhythmic ticking of the old clock on the wall. Lying in bed, I stared at the ceiling, trying to shake the uneasy feeling that had settled in my chest. Then from the darkness of the hallway I heard it, a soft shuffling sound like bare feet dragging across the floor. My breath caught. I lived alone. I lived alone.
So that sounded pretty good, but now let's see if we can take these sad and fearful lines and turn them into a happy tone. So we are just gonna increase these sliders over here and reduce the fear all the way down to 0. So let's click on generate.
The room was silent except for the slow rhythmic ticking of the old clock on the wall. Lying in bed, I stared at the ceiling, trying to shake the uneasy feeling that had settled in my chest. Then from the darkness of the hallway I heard it, a soft shuffling sound, like bare feet dragging across the floor. My breath caught. I lived alone.
So now you can notice that the tone of the voice is now happy and careless, completely different from the previous generation where it was all fearful and sad. And you know, it's pretty obvious that it doesn't really fit these scary lines over here. So let's go ahead and ask it to write some happier lines. Okay, let's go ahead and copy these first 2 paragraphs over here. Paste them real quick. And I'm gonna leave the settings exactly the same and let's click on generate.
The morning sun spilled through the curtains, wrapping the room in a golden glow as the scent of fresh coffee filled the air. She laughed, the kind of laugh that made everything feel lighter, like the whole world had taken a deep, happy breath.
See how it sounds pretty happy and pretty nice right now? Okay, now let's see what happens if we tick this emotion box right over here. Let's click on generate.
The morning sun spilled through the curtains, wrapping the room in a golden glow as the scent of fresh coffee filled the air. She laughed, the kind of laugh that made everything feel lighter, like the whole world had taken a deep, happy breath.
Notice how it sounds a lot more neutral. That's because if you tick this option over here, then it completely disables these sliders and the tone will be set to neutral by default. So if you want to have emotion in the tone of the speaker, then make sure to have this unticked. Okay, so next up, let's go ahead and try a different voice sample. So for that, I'm just gonna click X over here and let's use this voice sample of another YouTuber. Again, this is for educational purposes. Don't replicate people's voices without their permission. Okay, so we uploaded the voice sample. Take a listen.
Alright, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today we're going to be doing a...
Okay, so let's go ahead and select the last line over here. Paste it. And if we slide back down, let's go for a slightly happy tone, a bit of surprise, no sadness, maybe a bit of anger, very little disgust. And let's leave all the other settings the same. Let's go ahead and click on generate.
After a long, hard day, he opened the door to find his dog waiting, tail wagging, eyes shining, as if nothing else in the world mattered but this moment.
See how good the voice cloning works? Let's go ahead and listen to the original audio again.
A pretty insane update video talking about the whole...
Okay, and this is the AI voice generation
After a
again.
long, hard day, he opened the door to find his dog waiting.
So as you can see, the voice cloning is pretty good. Now let's see what happens if we increase the speaking rate over here. So let's put it on something like 22. Now this might not sound very good, but let's go ahead and try it out.
After a long, hard day, he opened the door to find his dog waiting, tail wagging, eyes shining, as if nothing else in the world mattered but this moment.
So as you can see, the speaker speaks at a way faster rate. Now let's put it on something way lower, like 10.
After a long, hard day, he opened the door to find his dog waiting, tail wagging, eyes shining, as if nothing else in the world mattered but this moment.
Notice how he speaks way slower. Okay, so let's reset this value over here and let's change the pitch to a way higher value like this. And let's go ahead and click on generate.
After a long, hard day, he opened the door to find his dog waiting, tail wagging, eyes shining, as if nothing else in the world mattered but this moment.
So notice how he has more variation in his tone of voice. I'm not really sure how to explain it, but let's increase this even further to make the effect more obvious.
After a long, hard day, he opened the door to find his dog waiting, tail wagging, eyes shining, as if nothing else in the world mattered but this moment.
Okay, now let's go ahead and slide it all the way down to a very low value, something like this.
After a long, hard day, he opened the door to find his dog waiting, tail wagging, eyes shining, as if nothing else in the world mattered but this moment.
So I'm not entirely sure if you can notice, but the tone is a bit more monotone, not a lot of expression. Again, I'm not really sure how to describe it, but I mean, the effect is there. So let's just reset this to default and let's go ahead and try out a different voice sample. Okay, so we're gonna try out this voice sample of Moist Critical. Take a listen.
For pretty much my entire life, I always treated my room, even my dorm room in college.
Okay, now let's go ahead and ask ChatGPT to write some different lines. Okay, let's go ahead and copy this question right over here. And now let's try to replicate a bit of annoyance in his tone of voice. So we're gonna increase the sadness a bit, the anger, disgust, and maybe a bit of fear. And let's click on generate.
Why is it that people never text back when you actually need an answer? But the moment you're busy, your phone won't stop buzzing.
Okay, so as you can see, it sounds really good. Let's take a listen at the original voice sample again.
The same way a mental institution treats a padded cell.
Now let's listen to the AI audio again.
Why is it that people never text back when you actually need an answer? But the moment you're busy...
So as you can see, it sounds really good. Now let's try to make him angrier. So let's increase the anger, the sadness, let's reduce the happiness all the way down. Let's slide the surprise a bit down, more disgust, and let's reduce the neutral a bit. Okay.
Why is it that people never text back when you actually need an answer? But the moment you're busy, your phone won't stop buzzing.
Okay, so now he sounds a bit more sad and a bit angry. Now you can notice over here we have some glitching. This happens quite often, but don't worry, you can remove these errors in post. And I'm gonna show you a bit later how to do it. For now, let's just go ahead and download this audio sample. Now let's try a different language. Okay, let's try German. And let's ask ChatGPT to write some text in German. Paste it over here and let's play with the emotions a bit. So happiness, surprise, let's reduce the sadness and the anger. And let's just leave these values the same.
Die Sonne ging langsam unter und tauchte den Himmel in warme Orangetöne. Ein leichter Wind wehte durch die Bäume, während irgendwo in der Ferne das Lachen von Kindern zu hören war. Es war einer dieser perfekten Momente, die man am liebsten für immer festhalten würde.
Okay, so this sounds pretty good. I can speak a bit of German and I can tell you that the accent is pretty decent, but correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. Okay, so now let's play a bit with the CFG scale. Let's say that we want to increase this all the way to some crazy value like 3.6. I don't really recommend this, but this is just to see how this works. And I also replaced the text, so let's click on generate.
The sun slowly set, painting the sky in warm shades of orange. A gentle breeze rustled through the trees, while somewhere in the distance, the laughter of children could be heard. It was one of those perfect moments you wished you could hold on to forever.
Okay, now let's leave the exact same seed and change this value back to the default value of 2. So over here we can see in the task manager that this process takes a bit of RAM and also it takes about 6 gigabytes of VRAM.
The sun slowly set, painting the sky in warm shades of orange. A gentle breeze rustled through the trees, while somewhere in the distance, the laughter of children could be heard. It was one of those perfect moments you wished you could hold on to forever.
Okay, so did you notice the difference? Let's go ahead and turn this slider all the way down to 1 and let's try again. And we get an error. Okay, so it turns out you can't use a CFG of 1 because you're gonna get an error and it's not gonna generate anything. So let's increase this slightly and click again on generate. And you can see now it works.
The sun slowly set, painting the sky in warm shades of orange. A gentle breeze rustled through the trees, while somewhere in the distance, the laughter of children could be heard. It was one of those perfect moments you wished you could hold on to forever.
Okay, so let me know if you notice any significant difference. Okay, so next up I'm gonna show you how to edit the pauses over here in between lines if you don't want them, or if the AI generates some random noise or maybe some glitches, then I'm also going to show you how to remove them. So we are here in Audacity. If you don't know, Audacity is a free audio editing software. You can go ahead and download it online. I'm gonna leave a link in the description. I imported the audio clip.
Why is it that people never text back when you actually need an answer?
So as you can see over here, we have a bit of a glitch. Usually you get the glitches at the end if you have a longer text. I noticed that, but let's go ahead and see how to actually remove this over here. So let's say that you don't like these long spaces in between your lines, or you want to remove this glitch over here. Just select this area and click delete. And as you can see, that got rid of the empty space and the glitch. So let's do the same for the end over here and for the beginning. Okay, so let's listen.
Why is it that people never text back when you actually need an answer, but the moment you're busy, your phone won't stop buzzing?
Okay, so that sounds pretty good. Now, this step over here is optional, but it might improve the quality of your voice a bit. So if we go over here to effects and we go ahead and select the compressor over here. First of all, we must select the whole track by double clicking it, and if we go to compressor over here, you can go ahead and copy these values and let's click on apply. Now let's listen to the result.
Why is it that people never text back when you actually need an answer, but the moment you're busy, your phone won't stop buzzing?
Okay, so this might sound a bit better, but again, this step is optional. You don't need to do it if you don't want to. Now, let's say that you want to clone a person's voice and you have a video on YouTube. You don't want to use the whole video, so I'm gonna show you how to clip the video and only select a short voice sample. So first of all, find the video of the person you want to copy the voice of. over here we have a clip of Donald Trump.
Here right now, they don't have a home.
And let's go ahead and copy the link over here. And now we're gonna go to this website called Soundly, and this allows you to download a certain section of a YouTube audio sample. So just paste the link over here and click on cut. Okay, so let's say that we want to start selecting the voice sample at the minute 5:35. So we're gonna start over here with 5 minutes and 35 seconds. And let's say that we only want a 20-second clip. So we're gonna select 5 minutes and 55 seconds. And let's click on convert. And here is the voice sample.
Home any longer. That's interesting. But we can't let this happen.
And let's just click on download. Tick these two boxes. And this has downloaded the voice sample. So this is how you get your voice samples. And this is it. I hope you found this video helpful. Please let me know in the comments what you think about this software and if you think that it is a good 11 Labs alternative. Thank you and see you in the next one.